I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to get blindsided like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been married to Lisa for about 5 years now. We had a pretty solid relationship, at least that's what I thought. She was the kind of woman who always looked good, had a sharp tongue, and knew how to make a guy feel like the king of the world. I was happy, or so I believed, until a few weeks ago when I started noticing little things that didn't add up. It started with her phone. She'd suddenly become obsessed with her texts, always hiding it when I came into the room. At first, I just thought she was being paranoid, but then I caught her slipping her phone into her purse every time she left the room. She'd go to the bathroom, and I'd catch her quickly deleting something. A few times, I saw her hurriedly close an app and act like she was just checking her emails. That's when the suspicion started creeping in, but I kept telling myself I was overthinking it. Then came the weirdest part, her mood swings. One day she'd be all sweet and loving, acting like nothing was wrong, and the next she'd be bitchy, snapping at me for no reason. I thought maybe she was stressed at work or just tired, but deep down I was starting to wonder if she was hiding something. There was also this strange tone in her voice during conversations, like she was hiding something. Still, I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I kept quiet, hopeful that maybe I was just imagining things. But then I found the damn proof. It was late one night. I was lying in bed scrolling through my phone, just relaxing, when I noticed her laptop was still open on the table. I figured she had just forgotten to close it, so I peeked over. That's when I saw it, the messages. It was a conversation between her and someone named Chris, and the words hit me like a punch to the gut. They weren't just innocent chats, they were explicit, full of plans to meet up, talk about sex, and even exchanging flirty pictures. My stomach dropped. I read more, and the worst part. The tone of the messages was so clearly intimate, so obviously about something she was hiding. From me, I couldn't believe it. I stared at the screen in disbelief, trying to process what I was seeing. This was cheating, plain and simple. And the worst part is, she lied to my face about everything. When I confronted her the next morning, she looked me dead in the eyes and told me she didn't know what I was talking about. That she was just friends with Chris, that I was reading too much into things, and that I was crazy to think she'd cheat on me. She even called me paranoid, said I was imagining things because I was insecure. I asked her about the messages, and she just lied, said they were about work or some guy she knew from her gym, but I knew better. That moment right there, seeing her lie so convincingly, trying to convince me that I was mistaken, was when everything changed. I felt betrayed, but also stupid for not seeing it sooner. How had I missed all the signs? Why did I trust her so blindly? I was furious, hurt, and confused all at once. I wanted to believe she was lying, that this was some terrible mistake or misunderstanding, but I knew deep down I wasn't wrong. The evidence was there, clear as day. I was staring at the truth, and it was worse than anything I could have imagined. After that night, my mind was racing. I kept replaying the conversation I had with her, trying to find any sign I missed, any small clue that could make sense of this mess. But honestly, there was nothing. Just her cold, convincing lies and those damn messages. I felt this storm brewing inside me, a mixture of shock, anger, and heartbreak. I never thought Lisa, the woman I loved, would do something like this. I mean, I knew she had her bitchy moments, but cheating, that was a whole new level. I decided I had to confront her again, face to face. I couldn't just let this hang over me, especially not without some sort of explanation, or at least her version of it. So I waited until she was home from work, trying to calm myself down. When she finally walked through the door, I could see her trying to act normal. That fake smile, the way she brushed her hair back, everything about her was off. She knew I had seen the messages. I could see it in her eyes. I didn't waste time. I sat her down and showed her the chat logs on my phone. Her face froze, then turned into a sneer. "That's not what you think," she spat, crossing her arms aggressively. "You're overreacting. It's just some guy from the gym. It's nothing serious." Her tone was dismissive, like she was trying to brush off a minor inconvenience. She told me they just met for sex a few times, that it didn't mean anything, that I was just paranoid and insecure. She kept insisting it was a mistake, a one-time thing, and that she loved me, but I wasn't buying it. I told her I didn't believe her, that I knew she was lying. I asked her why she'd do this behind my back, why she'd send those explicit messages and flirt so openly. She looked me right in the eyes and said, "You're just jealous, Mike. You think everything is about sex with me, but that's not who I am. Chris is just a friend. You're making this bigger than it is." Her voice was sharp, full of disdain, like I was the one causing all the trouble. That's when I saw the mask slip a little, a glimpse of the real bitch underneath the confident facade. I felt like I was hit with a ton of bricks. I had trusted her for years, given her my love and loyalty, and now I was standing here feeling like a fool. The reason I was so furious wasn't just because she cheated. It was betrayal on every level. The woman I thought I knew had lied to me, hidden this affair, and tried to convince me I was imagining things. That kind of deceit cuts deep. I started questioning everything, our memories, our talks, the future I thought we had. I remember feeling this sick emptiness, like my stomach was a black hole trying to swallow everything I once believed in. I wanted to scream, to break something, but I held back. I just looked at her, my mind racing, trying to process what to do next. Part of me wanted to forgive her, to pretend I didn't see anything, to just forget and move on. But deep down, I knew that wasn't an option anymore. Not after she so blatantly lied and dismissed what I had seen with my own eyes. The trust was shattered, and I knew I had to decide whether to fight for this marriage or walk away. The days that followed were the worst I've ever experienced. Every time I saw her, I felt this strange mixture of anger and heartbreak swirling inside me. Lisa, my wife, was still acting like everything was normal, like she hadn't just lied to my face about the affair. But I wasn't buying it. I couldn't. I started digging deeper, going over every detail I could remember, every suspicious event that might have been part of her deception. I started noticing her phone more, checking her messages when she thought I wasn't looking. Nothing explicit came up again, but I could tell she was hiding something, maybe trying to control the damage. She'd be quick to change the subject whenever I brought up her behavior or her late nights. Honestly, I was starting to feel like I was losing my mind. That's when the idea struck me. I needed to find out exactly how deep this went. I needed proof, undeniable proof of her lies. One night I decided to follow her. I told her I was going to grab some beer with a friend and she didn't suspect anything. I waited until she left, then I followed her to a local bar she'd never mentioned before. When I got there, I saw her sitting at a table with someone. At first I couldn't see who it was, but then I recognized his face, Chris. The same guy from those messages, the one she swore was just a friend. They were sitting close, laughing, touching each other on the arm. My blood boiled. I watched for a while, trying to gather all the evidence I needed. That's when she looked up and our eyes met across the room. She saw me staring and her face went pale for a second. I could tell she was trying to act normal, to pretend I wasn't there, but I was already torn between rage and heartbreak. I didn't even go inside. I just turned and walked away, feeling like I'd just stepped into a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. But I knew I had everything I needed now. The evidence was undeniable. She was cheating on me, with my own twin brother, no less. The next day I confronted her again. I showed her the photos I took at the bar, her sitting so close to Chris, smiling like they were the only two people in the world. She tried to deny it, of course, called me a stalker, said I'd just misinterpreted everything. But I cut her off. I told her I'd seen her with my own eyes and I wasn't going to pretend otherwise. That's when she started with the usual lies. It's not what it looks like. Or, we were just talking, it doesn't mean anything. Or that she was just drunk and made a mistake. That last part was a lie I didn't even want to hear. I asked her why. Why would she do this? Why Chris? Why the deception? She shrugged, looked away, and said she was bored and needed excitement, that I didn't satisfy her anymore. That she was just having some sex with him, nothing serious. Her words cut me in half. I could see her trying to act like she was the victim, like I was the one screwing up, not her. But I wasn't falling for it anymore. I was done. I felt the cold realization settling in. This was over. That I'd been played for a fool, and the woman I loved was capable of hiding this kind of betrayal. It was like my whole world was crashing down around me, and I was just standing there helpless. The days after I saw her at that bar felt like I was walking through a fog. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her sitting so close to Chris, laughing like they had their own little secret world. I kept replaying everything, the way she lied, the way she looked at him, the way she dismissed my feelings. It was like my mind was trapped in a loop of betrayal and I couldn't escape it. I knew I had to make a decision. Staying silent or pretending nothing was wrong was no longer an option. I couldn't keep living with her, knowing she was unfaithful, knowing my own brother had been part of this lie. So I decided to confront him. I needed some answers from the source, and honestly, I was furious. I called him up first, told him I knew everything, that I'd seen him with Lisa. He tried to deny it, but I didn't listen. I told him he was a damn traitor, that I thought he was better than that, but apparently I was wrong. That conversation didn't last long. We argued, exchanged some harsh words, and I told him if he ever showed his face around me again, I'd make sure he regretted it. That was the smallest of my issues. The real problem was Lisa, my wife, who was still pretending to be innocent and oblivious, acting like she didn't know what I was talking about. I couldn't take her lies anymore. I decided I had to rip the Band-Aid off completely. One afternoon, I sat her down. I told her I knew about her affair, about Chris, about everything. Her reaction was a mix of outrage and false innocence. She threw her hands up and started yelling at me, calling me paranoid, accusing me of spying on her, saying she deserved better treatment, that I was suffocating her. She said, "You're just jealous because I still look good and he's interested. Maybe you're the one who's boring in bed, Mike." That's when I saw her true colors, the bitchy, manipulative side I hadn't seen before. I looked her dead in the eyes and told her she was done, that I wasn't going to stay married to a woman who cheated, lied, and tried to gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. I told her I'd already contacted a lawyer because I wasn't about to be a cuckold or some idiot who lets his own brother ruin his life. Her face twisted in anger, and she stormed out of the room, screaming that I was overreacting, that she loved me but needed her freedom. I just sat there, feeling numb, knowing I'd made up my mind. This was the end of our marriage. By that evening, I had moved out of our house. I couldn't stand being in the same space as her anymore. I stayed with a friend, trying to process everything. I thought about the years we'd spent together, how I'd trusted her, how I'd believed we were happy. All of it shattered in an instant. The betrayal cut so deep, I wondered if I'd ever be able to trust anyone again. I kept asking myself how she could do this, how my own wife, the woman I loved, could betray me with my twin brother. It was a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. The days turned into weeks, and every morning felt like dragging myself through mud. I couldn't believe how quickly my entire life had unraveled. I kept going over everything, trying to find some reason, some justification for her actions, but there was none. Lisa had become a stranger, someone I once loved but now just felt contempt for. I'd never felt so betrayed, so humiliated. Honestly, I kept questioning myself. What did I do wrong? How did I miss all the signs? But deep down, I knew this wasn't about my faults, it was about her choices. I started thinking about my options, what to do next. The lawyer I contacted was straightforward, trying to get a divorce, dividing assets, making sure I protected myself. The hardest part was the fact that she still refused to admit any real fault. She kept calling, begging, trying to manipulate me into taking her back. She'd lie about how it meant nothing, how she still loved me, how she was sorry she got caught. I listened to her a few times, but every word sounded hollow. I knew her too well now. She was just trying to save her own skin, not genuinely remorseful. One day, I decided I needed closure. I reached out to my brother, Chris. The first time I called him, he was defensive, trying to deny everything. I told him I wasn't interested in excuses, I just wanted the truth. That's when he finally cracked. He admitted that he knew Lisa was married and that they'd been sneaking around for months. He even apologized, said it was a stupid mistake, and that he didn't want to ruin everything but couldn't help himself. Honestly, hearing him say that made me feel sick. I felt betrayed not just by Lisa, but by my own flesh and blood. The man I called my brother, someone I trusted, had crossed a line I never thought he would. As I listened, I felt this mix of rage and sadness swell inside me. I wanted to punch something, scream at both of them, but I held back. I just told him that was the end, that I never wanted to see him again, and that I was done with them both. That minute, I realized how much damage one person's betrayal could do, not just to my marriage, but to my entire family. That night, I sat alone, contemplating everything. I felt broken, like I'd been hit by a truck, but at the same time, I also felt a strange sense of clarity. I knew I couldn't stay in that toxic environment anymore. I had to move forward, rebuild my life, and learn from this nightmare. I knew I needed to let go of the pain, forgive myself for the doubts I had, and start focusing on myself. Sometimes, the only way to heal is to face the truth, no matter how ugly it is. I've come to accept that the trust I lost is gone, and I have to create a new life, one without Lisa, or my brother for that matter. That's the only way I see to truly move on. Would you like me to keep going with the final part? In the end, I realized that betrayal cuts deeper than I ever thought possible. Losing Lisa wasn't just about her cheating, it was about the trust, the years we built, the future I imagined that suddenly seemed so fragile. But I also learned something crucial. I can survive this. I've had to confront my deepest pain, face the harsh truth, and learn to live with the scars. It's not easy to forget someone you loved so much, especially when they turn out to be someone you never really knew. But I'm trying. I've taken steps to rebuild myself, therapy, pushing myself back into work, reconnecting with friends I'd ignored during the chaos. I'm slowly piecing my life back together, piece by piece. It's a long road, but part of me feels relief too. Not because of her, but because I finally see the truth clearly. I know I deserve better than someone who would cheat, lie, and manipulate me. I've learned that some betrayals are so deep they force you to reevaluate everything. Sometimes you have to walk away from what you thought was your happiness to find real peace. Looking back, I wish I'd seen the signs sooner. Trust your instincts. Don't ignore the little red flags. And if you find yourself in a situation like this, be honest with yourself. Confront the truth, no matter how ugly it is. Because the only way to heal is to face it head on. And to anyone who's been cheated on or betrayed, know this. You are stronger than your pain. It may feel like the end of the world right now, but time heals, and so does self-respect. You'll survive, and you'll come out the other side with a clearer understanding of what you deserve. I don't regret what happened because it taught me that I am capable of surviving the worst. It's reshaped me into someone who values honesty, loyalty, and self-worth more than ever before. And although I still have scars, I'm moving forward. Without her, without my brother, and finally with my own peace of mind.